Hello, everybody. Welcome to With Thunder's Applause, podcast where two friends get together to discuss the events and ideas that will shape our uncertain future. I'm your host, Steve, along with my co-host, Zach. What is up?
Went for a walk today. Very late. I'm out of shape. I also went to my my Move It class, which is like a weight management class, and
Excellent.
everyone spent more time like asking questions that were not related to the topic at hand. But I loved it because it's a bunch of guys in their like 50s to 70s that are just like, what do you mean I gotta eat less than 2,000 calories? How do I could barely, keep at 2,000, 1,800. Oh my God. It's like, yup, life's rough, my dudes,
Life is rough. I
but we
actually was
must
talking
lose weight.
to my partner about that shit, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna reach out to the VA
Yeah.
and see if they have a class I can enroll in locally. I'm sure they probably do,
Yeah. It's worth it.
because we have a pretty big service catchment area.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if nothing else, I just like, every week I get to go see a bunch of kind of funny guys that are like being completely honest about their desire to lose weight.
Yep. I love it, man. It's very good. I went for a nice walk too. We were supposed to terminate our walk to get street tacos,
Oh, yeah.
but we turned back early and had tomato soup instead.
Well, it's definitely cheaper.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, those boxes of fucking roasted red pepper tomato soup from Trader Joe's are legit.
Mm,
It's one of my favorite things from Trader Joe's, to be honest.
I don't go there very often, unfortunately.
No, nor do I.
It's very much on the north side of town, and I'm just like, yeah.
But yeah, find a good
There we
fucking
go.
a good hearty soup in a box.
Yeah.
That you find good where you shop at Food Max or whatever,
Yeah.
Winco or whatever. Yeah,
All the above. All
all
the cheap
of
places.
the above. Very good.
All the cheap places.
So cool. Well, it's shooting the Poodoo episode. I think 42,
44.
44. We have surpassed episode 100. I think based on our last math,
Yeah, probably.
or we're about at it. Happy
We
Pearl
can do the
Harbor Day, I
celebratory.
should say. U.S.
Oh,
Seaman.
that's my favorite. That's my favorite holiday. It definitely
It's your
didn't
favorite
mean that
holiday, the Seaman.
It definitely didn't, mean that I never got to see my grandparents on my dad's side. Nope, that didn't happen. They never went to my birthdays. Oh wait, no, Pearl Harbor Day sucks.
Oh, did they really die?
Yeah, no. They would go to visit it because my grandpa was at Pearl Harbor when it was bombed.
Oh.
And so you go back and see all the shipmates and everything, and
Every year?
every year. Yeah, I never got a birthday. With them.
So do they've made it like basically a local public holiday?
Well, I mean, they don't. Yeah, they were not in Hawaii. They like flew out there every year.
Yeah,
Of course
that's
they
what
did.
I mean.
Yeah. I mean, it was a holiday for them, and they had the
Well, I
money.
mean, there's old. I mean, many fewer these days, but like there were old timers that would travel to fucking Normandy all the time, and there was organizations that
Yeah.
helped them travel, so
Yeah.
it wasn't always the same people. Like some
Mm,
people probably could afford it and went, and I think some organizations helped people go for like certain events,
yeah,
like commemorations or whatever.
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I don't think it reifies militarism or empire or fucking subjugation or oppression at all to fucking to recognize that as part of some people's history, right? Like
Yeah.
I was talking about the Patton Museum, and I was fascinated about that. A big chunk of it was about the Colorado River Project, like
Hmm.
and also like part of me gets like little fucking leftist fucking chubbies about being able to like leverage society's resources for a purpose, like
Yeah.
for a very clear purpose, and be like, fuck, we could actually survive this and transform our society into something that like is worth keeping around.
Yeah,
But
and
we have to be able to command society's resources to do that.
yeah, and that's the thing is like we have all this power that's going towards like military, and it's like, hey, most of the like conflict in the world is just based over people not having the shit they need to survive and trying to secure the shit they need to survive. Like, yeah, you get people that are like, I don't know, I just like land. I'm sure those people still exist. But for the most part, it just seems to be about resources. And so, like, we just got to get better at, deploying resources where they're needed. And you could save so many resources overall by not launching bombs in order to get those resources.
Yeah.
You want oil, trade them at a fair price, and then demand that they trade for your food at a fair price. Like, I don't know. All the war just seems kind of stupid. It seems like we should have evolved past it.
Yeah, I still don't think I have quite grappled with that question, although I find it fascinating. Maybe I'll take some notes later. Because I am trying to figure out what I'm going to fucking study. Like, because I think I want to go back to school for a few more years.
Oh my God.
I got a little GI Bill to burn, bro.
Yeah,
Forgive
man.
me.
Yeah, no.
I would like an extra $2,000 a month. That would be fucking very helpful to me.
That was nice. I did not work at college at all. And milked it for all 6 years that I could. 6.5, actually. Yeah.
So we have a kind of eclectic mix of slightly related content to
Yeah, we do.
Pearl Harbor Day. I think we're going to start with an article of your choosing.
Yeah. I was just popping through Reddit earlier, saw a reference to Guyana basically being invaded by Venezuela several different times, and thought, that's probably important. Maybe we should look at it. And
do it.
If Venezuela, I will say, just from scrolling through it a little bit, if Venezuela gets what it wants, it takes the lion's share of Guyana. Guyana loses so much land. I think his name's Anthony Blinken. Is that right?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So Anthony Blinken is reaffirming that the U.S. will support Guyana's sovereignty. It seems like the French would support that, since I think it used to be French Guyana. As Venezuela threatens to annex the Essequibo region. I think I said that well. Let's see. Venezuela is threatening to annex the oil-rich western territory of Guyana. And there have been a lot of threats going back and forth. Anthony Blinken has reaffirmed Washington's position that Guyana has sovereignty over the entire Essequibo region. And that was when he was calling the president of Guyana. Wow, we had Anthony Blinken call, not our own president. Whatever. During the call, Blinken urged for a peaceful resolution. Well, when you're the one being invaded, that probably rings a little hollow, I would imagine. Venezuelans voted overwhelmingly to annex oil-rich Essequibo, which their government claims is a natural part of Venezuelan territory and was unfairly given to Guyana more than a century ago, which is not a bad claim. Like, colonialism's a bitch, y'all.
Yeah, I that's a good place to interject as well, and say I would love to asterisk and really come back and do a deep dive, because I don't know anything about it, and I haven't heard many people talk about it. And this is brought up, and it's like, we have a historical claim to it, right? And there is that kind of Western powers drawing borders intentionally to fucking partition these areas that are seen as strategic, right?
So well, to put enemies in the same territory.
And also to deny any of those states, which is why I think the state system, is inherently flawed. You create states, but then they've been divided up in such a way that to ensure that no one state has access to enough resources to be self-sufficient and territorial, perhaps, right? Or to, like Venezuela, influence its neighbors, and that's only fair in the whole state system. We should be able to, the United States should have considerable input on the policy of Mexico and Canada.
And
Mexico and Canada should each independently have some sway over relations with the United States, right? We should all be approaching this from okay, we have to interact. What's the most responsible and mutually beneficial way to interact? And of
Yeah, we
course,
just have.
politics is the part of defining what is mutually beneficial, right? And trying to get a little bit more, right? To get the better deal. I don't think
Yeah.
that's controversial.
No.
But
I mean, I
yeah,
would say
yeah.
also that we have to remember, like, there's things that we share that we're not even. I mean, yeah, we're exploiting them, but that's not even necessarily, the problem. Like, when you have a river that starts off on one side of the border, ends on another one, and the water, coming over the border is dumped with toxic chemicals and stuff like that. The country you're dumping it into should probably have some say in you doing that, and how your country treats the companies within its borders that are basically poisoning their neighbors. But I mean, we can't even keep from poisoning our own citizens, so maybe that's a
That's
little pie
right.
in the sky.
Yep. And of course, the U.S. is like, hey, aren't you familiar with the Monroe Doctrine?
Well, and of course, Venezuela, aren't they a bunch of red socialists? If I remember correctly.
And they were until we're like, oh shit, we actually need some oil right now. Thank you very much. Basically,
I'm trying to remember
they
one
were
of those.
like public enemy number one until like literally we're like, we need to tap you for fucking oil. And they're like, okay. Because that's how they fund their government. In the
Yeah.
literature, I believe I've said this somewhat recently on the podcast. In the literature, it's called the resource curse. The countries can't develop, I want to say somewhat transparent, not corrupt, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, really, realistically speaking, the system's always been corrupt. Our whole idea of
Yeah.
the system, there being like a once upon a time where the bureaucratic state was functioned on behalf of the people was simply an illusion. That was just the legacy of them giving us a little to save their fucking asses and get us complacent again and figure out new tools to control us. Like fucking our phones, social media, all of that shit, dude. And then also find out, more and more deceptive ways of rigging the system. Right? Like,
Oh, well, I
it's
mean,
so fucking fucked.
data collection in order to do, direct a manipulation of your like current mood, like through social media. Like, they can make you angry, they can make you complacent, they can make you sad, sick and dystopian, and we probably need to get a handle on it if we want our nice society that we work so hard for to continue on.
Exactly. Is there much left in the article?
Not a whole lot. It's basically just like, Guyana's looking to Brazil for help. Of course, they're neighbors. Why not? And then you have Venezuela was wanting the United Nations to basically, condemn the action and things like that. They are still communicating, which is very important. The moment that you shut that down, any sort of peaceful resolution becomes that much harder. This is not new. Venezuela's been claiming the area for decades. As I said, a natural border, and historically, you've been recognized. Let's see. Yeah. Essequibo makes up more than 2/3 of Guyana and hosts about a quarter of its citizen. And the frontiers were determined by an arbitration panel in 1899. So basically, they couldn't get along. Some other countries stepped in and said, this makes sense. But yeah, look at this shit. That's what they'd have left.
Some other country in 1899. That was probably U.S. French.
Probably, yeah.
Perhaps
I would imagine the
combination.
French.
And that's why we're going to do a deep dive on it, because we should
Yeah.
we should know it. We should.
I
we
feel like I
know
should,
these
yeah.
kind of details.
Yeah, I really feel like I should. It's not that ancient of history, and it definitely affects like modern day shit as we're seeing here.
Mm-hmm.
Just another mark from colonialization.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's our first topic there. And we will definitely want to look more into that. It's interesting that it's been going on for so long and just now hearing about it, which is just evidence that we as Americans are probably not great.
Yeah, next we're going to move on to there's a couple minutes from breaking points. This whole segment is like 23 3 minutes. I highly recommend checking the entire thing out and watching the ads or whatever. I probably wouldn't give them money. They're definitely worth watching ads for, like you would any other fucking show at like an airport or whatever, right? Like, fair enough. But they're covering basically doing like an update on Israel Palestine, and we haven't talked about it for a while. I think mostly because like my mental health was kind of bottoming out on it, and like it's just a lot to bear because I care so much. Like I don't think I mean everybody cares, like everybody that cares, but like I think I don't know, maybe I get a little too emotionally invested in the plight of distant peoples, but
it's an underdog story, man. Everyone's supposed to like the underdog.
Yeah.
At least that's what movies have told us.
That's right. Name a few. I'm trying to think of some.
I mean, the Shazam movie that came out, he's just a little kid given, huge power and expected to save the world. That ain't fair.
Is that really the example you pull out?
It's just what was on my or on the top of my head for some reason.
I didn't actually watch it.
I can't think of many movies that
tried. I got a lot of ads for that movie. I never watched it though.
Oh, I mean, it's not great. It's kind of funny. That's really the only reason I watched it is because they, focused it on the humor, and I'm like, if we're gonna have a story that threatens the earth, let's at least have a few laughs along the way. And in the end, family. It's always family.
That's true. I thought a true underdog story going to be, say, like Rocky.
Never heard of it.
What? Said, I don't know if I'm fucking high or like you're fucking with me.
There I was fucking with you. Yeah.
Okay.
No, Rocky's.
I couldn't tell.
No. Yeah. That's true. That is an underdog story. And he does lose. So, maybe that's the better lesson for all of us. The underdog doesn't always win. But he gets back up and he tries again, unless he gets genocided, in which case they're all gone and they can't get back up and try again.
No, they can't.
And that's what we're looking at.
Exactly. And so there's a bunch of stuff going on. But for Pearl Harbor Day, I thought maybe we could talk about some of the kind of consequences for our participation, which includes, we've discussed this before, but this I think was a discussion from 3 days ago. So it's ongoing because we haven't really done a legit show in like several weeks, I think. Yeah. I haven't sat behind a computer in like fucking 3 weeks or something.
Which is why we need to make some shorts.
Yes, precisely. At any rate, so this is kind of this whole episode, 23 minutes or whatever, breaking points to do a big catch up, or useful catch up. They talk about it every day. But anyway, thought it was interesting to talk about factions which receive weapons and funding from Iran in Yemen, and that whole fucking mess there is a whole nother topic. But anyway, attacking shipping vessels and the consequences of that and what that means and how big of a deal this is. Because I mean, I can't think of like a major international shipping lane that's been questioned at all. There might have been like some like very short-term or maybe threats of blockades of the Persian Gulf, right? Like there's probably been threats at some point, and maybe some kind of like minor thing, but I don't think that there's been any attempt to militarily like or otherwise like insurgency like harass an international shipping lane as important as this shipping lane. So yeah, interesting stuff. And it's 2.5 minutes, so I'm gonna excuse myself while that plays.
And try to hold here is that the rest of the region is not going to stay silent as this all continues. And that's what happened yesterday. Let's put this up there on the screen. Commercial ships, including a U.S. warship, were attacked by Houthi drones in the Red Sea. Now, many of these commercial shipping vessels were not Israeli flagged. They were U.S. Or UK flagged. The U.S. missile destroyer that was actually in the area ended up shooting down 3 of the drones. But this comes, Crystal, after there was already that Houthi hijacking of that Israeli tanker. I mean, this is one of the most vulnerable places in all of global shipping, why we have so many U.S. naval assets in the region. And these are, in the immediate term, they're drones. But don't forget, this same guided missile destroyer has shot down what they say are missiles that are being shot from Yemen all the way towards Israel. Now, no way to confirm whether or not that's true, but what we can confirm is that they have kinetically engaged some of these Houthi assets. So just one of these things goes the wrong way. A U.S. sailor gets killed on the high seas. We're living in a different world. That's a different game.
Yeah, so to start with that piece, I was reading from some shipping experts on Twitter. And as you said, this particular area is really critical. And you don't have to, so far they really haven't done any damage. There hasn't been significant damage. No one has been killed. I don't think anyone has been injured. So you might say, okay, what's the big deal? Well, for these shipping, for these massive, cargo ships, they have to be able to insure their passage. And if you have any sort of danger in this area, then insurance rates skyrocket. And then you either have them paying, massive rates of insurance, or you have them having to reroute around this area, which makes the trip much, 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 much longer. So it has a significant economic impact, even if they aren't really being that effective in doing any sort of damage. So that's on that piece. And of course, it also just shows, listen, the Houthis in Yemen, they aren't going quietly here. You still have Hezbollah hanging out there. And the greater the toll on civilian life that is inflicted in the Gaza Strip, the more fraught things will be. And of course, the more at risk our own troops in the area will be as well.
Yep. We've definitely gone to war over less.
We have, yeah.
And, thankfully we haven't gone to war every time, something like this happens. Like, a lot of times it just, it's a lot of saber rattling and then it ends up with nothing. I don't know. At this point, though, a lot of people are really, really hyped up. I think you can, mobilize and not get a strong enough condemnation at home for long enough for a lot of damage to be done, a lot of bridges to be burnt.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I'm trying to think. It was the USS Cole or something like that.
That was the one that was bombed off of. Was it Lebanon? Was that a bombing in Lebanon or Somalia? I forget. I think it might have been Somalia. It's shooting the Poodoo. Look at that.
Shooting the Poodoo. Looking it up. 2020, 2000 suicide attack. Yemen. Yeah, man. That was with let's see, 17 were killed. Yeah. So apparently the threshold is greater than 17.
I have not actually done a catch up because we skipped Monday. So I haven't done a catch up since I went and saw my family, but I was hanging out with my uncle on his fucking sailboat in the LA harbor. It was cool. And at any rate, he was talking about having like all the stuff. So I was just talking about generally about a lot about emergencies. I'm like, what do you do when you're like in the middle of the fucking ocean and like fucking something bad happens? He's like, oh, explain the boat is fucking this strong, so like can actually take like a whale attack or something like that. When you're on the open water, there's really nothing, right? Like, it's mostly when you're in coastal waters, but like hitting rocks or fucking wildlife or
that's the main concern. A lot of people are so concerned about
other boats.
Like so many people are concerned about like, all the stuff in the ocean. It's like rocks that are slightly under the water and other ships are your main concern. Like, there was a time where a submarine dragged down, I believe, a Japanese fishing boat. It got caught, and like nobody really figured out. Yeah. Nobody really figured out. Like, oh, it seems like it's a little bit rougher than normal. That's weird. They were just like, nah, dive. Fucking dragged it down. Yeah. Let's see when that happened.
Bro, we've been fucking up Japanese fishermen for a long time. Like thinking like Marshall Islands, like the fucking nuke tests and shit, like Bikini Atoll and shit.
Oh yeah.
We're just like nuking fucking fishermen and shit. Now we're just like pulling their boats under like fucking Jaws and shit.
Yeah, that was U.S. Greenville. Yeah. Los Angeles class submarine sank a Japanese fishery ship, just pulled it under. Fucking great.
So at any rate, anything to say about that clip? I thought it was interesting. Yeah. Just kind of how, I mean, I've been following the issue for a long time. There's been lots of fucking heinous shit that like Israel's done towards Palestine. Like there's been a lot of like kind of really tense moments there. Like this is the first time it feels like, I don't know what most of our entire adult lives were defined by the U.S. going and basically occupying Iraq.
Yeah.
And destabilizing like every country that could potentially put up a fight. And so for 20 years, it felt like nothing was really going on. So ISIS, right? Like,
yeah,
CIA funded terrorists and shit like that, right?
Yep.
Over and over. To destabilize the region. This is the first time where, it feels like the hegemonic presence of the United States is not necessarily guaranteed.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm biased because I'm seeing the fractures, right? But genuinely it kind of feels like that when you're like US warships are under attack, like, or at least being harassed. I wouldn't call that under attack because they really didn't sustain significant damage, right? They didn't have any real did they have any personnel losses or maybe some casualties like burns or anything? Nothing.
Didn't mention anything. Nope. And I think we'd know about it immediately.
Not even someone who got fucking a burn. Wow. That's crazy.
Nope. Shot him down.
Okay.
That was it. Shot them down before they could get anywhere nearby.
Maybe it's Schrodinger's drone. Maybe the birds are
biologically indistinguishable replica droids. Birds,
Indeed.
People. Birds are not real.
Birds. Not real.
I remember seeing that so long ago, and then I was just like, that's great. I love satire. And then I saw it a few years later. Well, not a few, several years later. And people are like, yeah, man, this shit's real. I'm like, oh, God damn it. Can't make this shit up, people.
It's true. All right. Let's do the task and purpose, because I don't know if we'll have time to get to that other one. And I think that we are also going to show a video about new estimates of soil degradation and other things that are going to be contributing factors to a global famine. I saw Paul Beckwith cover an article.
Mm-hmm.
He posted that yesterday or maybe even earlier today. That would go really good with that, and also tie that back to our limits to growth discussion, and specifically focus in, maybe find the at least the isolated curve, but perhaps like some information from one of the studies, because it really hasn't changed much, but like, and look at where they're thinking about food production, talk about that and some other things. It could be a good standalone show. So let's skip on to this article from Task and Purpose that talks about a veteran recruiting crisis. And this is an opinion piece, which is great, but it's something the media has talked about. I think we might have brought it up a few times, and we were like, we had a lot of explanations, I think. We did discuss this, didn't we? Maybe not as an article,
no,
something, but it might have come up in discussion.
Yeah, I believe it has.
I feel like we've spoke about it.
Yeah.
But basically, like, Gen Z is like they don't see the education and the home loan as being sufficient in exchange, because education doesn't mean nearly as much, and the home loan, like, it doesn't matter.
I can tell.
The government will guarantee a loan when you can't fucking afford a house, or afford the interest rate on a loan.
That's where I am right now. Like, both of those above. I mean, like, I tried to get a house, well over a decade ago, and they were like, "Oh, you just got to get your debt to income down." And so I took a year, and I got my debt to income down. I went back, and they're like, "Oh, in the time you were gone, housing prices went up $100,000. You can't afford anything in your area anymore." Delightful. So yeah, the loan doesn't really help you if you're broke as a joke. Like, so it's not really that valuable.
And or even if you're not, if you're broke as a joke, or if, like, you're fucking, you make some income, but, like, you just can't afford $600,000 for a fucking house.
Yeah.
Or maybe you could, but then you're like, ooh, do I really? Is tomorrow a better day? Right? Is the grass greener if I just stick this out? And I think most people are abandoning that whole fucking idea that if they just grind a little bit harder, eventually they'll hit their stride.
Yeah.
Like, I think that illusion for a lot of people has been fucking fractured. I mean, that's kind of, in a lot of ways, I've always kind of seen it, but, like, interestingly, still, like, seen how that was a short-term endeavor, but still somehow found myself participating in it, right? Like, I've known the system is fucking bullshit most of my life, but like, somehow
you gotta live
I'm,
within
like, looking back, I'm 40 years old and looking back at my life, and I was like, damn, dude, I played the game. I knew it was a game, and I still fucking played that
You
shit.
can't not play the game. You don't play the game, you die. Like, congratulations, welcome to humanity. We've not done a good job of this. Here's your college debt. Also, your parents are in debt just to bring you into the world.
All right, so let's talk about this military recruiting crisis.
Yeah, man. So it starts off and says, "How can I feel comfortable advocating for military service when so many members of our community don't feel welcome or even have their needs met? I asked at a recent panel titled 'Changing Perceptions, Shaping Futures: Breaking Down Barriers between Veterans and Gen Z.'" And this is written by Jenna Carlton. There we go. So the whole point of the panel was to clear up misconceptions about the military for just the average person. They even went so far as to answer her question, acknowledging that they get a lot of bad press. I mean, like, it's so bad that now the VA has to, like, turn around and get shit done in like 2 weeks, and if they don't, like, you can raise a fuss.
Yeah. Their systems now are pretty
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can pop in and talk to your primary, like, being assigned to primary care, that I'm now, like, I have an email and you're obligated to respond to me in fucking 48 hours is fucking awesome.
Yeah. And I've taken advantage of it.
Even if you still have to work to get what you want, like, they're required to respond to you promptly. So you can at least push it forward,
Yeah. And you do. True enough, you have to push it forward. And, like, anyone that you talk to will tell you that. Like, it's not easy. You have to keep on them, but it's a lot better than it used to be. Yeah, I mean, it used to be, the joke was like, "Oh, it seems like they're just waiting for me to die." Like, I'm 70 and I need this, and they're like, "Yeah, you're still there, okay." Let's see. They said they encouraged veterans to help aid this issue by speaking up about the great opportunities that the military has given them, and
So it's basically the panel that this individual writing the op-ed was witness to was trying to get the VA and the military recruiters and various kinds of military type civic organizations to coordinate and figure out why they're not reaching Gen Z.
Right.
Kind of like how Democrats are like, I don't understand why we're not getting these voters. We do everything the consultants tell us we should be doing.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of just like looking at them and being like, oh, you're not, their economic needs are not being met.
Yeah. Which is almost always the answer.
Right. Or they feel disrespected, or they feel like they're not listened to, or they, feel at odds with it for culture war reasons, whatever it is. Right. Like,
yeah.
At any rate, it's interesting because, like, I think what they're doing is also asking, like, veterans, right?
Yeah.
To
drum
like,
up
hey, how
recruiting,
can
basically.
veterans, like younger veterans, help Gen Z into the military? Is how I'm reading that.
Yeah. It's basically, hey, we're not having a good time at recruiting if you drum up some support. It's like,
Right.
No, no.
And this line right here is perfect. Veterans aren't going to put lipstick on a pig.
Oh, yeah. What a great saying.
Military service cannot be glamorized when so many of us are traumatized. Yes.
Yeah.
As veterans, we have firsthand experience in how much military can impact our well-being. Yep. Also, many of us were given unrealistic expectations of what our military service would be like and don't want to continue that cycle.
Yeah.
I'm surprised how many people were, because I wouldn't. I don't think you were, because you went in because you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll join the Navy, right?
Yep. I didn't have a
And
plan
I was
for
one of
college.
those people who was like, fuck, I know exactly where I am, and where I am is fucking really broke. And these people will fucking train me to do something. They'll fucking house me. They'll fucking, make sure my body's functioning. They'll fucking clean my teeth. Like fucking everything.
All the benefits of socialism.
All the benefits of socialism. Ridiculous.
Let's see. And they say, now on the outside, we can compare the daily stress of deployments, bureaucracy, lack of agency, family life, and physical and mental health to what we experience now in the civilian world. We've experienced the transition out of service, obviously, or most likely is one of the most challenging critical experiences for any veteran. And in that first year out, risk of suicide is highest. And we still haven't figured out how to, work on that. Even it seems like, they put up a hotline, that's similar to 911.
Yeah. She says the VA promised a way to heal after our service, but wait times are 6 months or more. The lack of care leaves us questioning if we're even worth it. Granted, this is an op-ed, so this is a person's personal feelings about this. Hence why it's phrased it, but it's obviously good points. We were just saying we haven't had as much of a problem. There has been serious problems with especially specialty care. Excuse me, the primary care side of that, I feel like has improved over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
They'll check you out.
To be fair, I called about an issue in late September and only got seen yesterday because I had to go outside of their primary care. So anytime you do that, it takes more time.
Yeah, but I mean, like I had to drop into prompt care or whatever. Covered.
Oh yeah. I don't know if that still applies to me. I have a much lower rating than you, so.
Oh right.
I don't know how that works, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It is kind of nice to be back in a position where I can just go in and be like, "There's a problem with me. How much money do I owe you? None. Great." Definitely missed that part of the military. Probably one of the only parts.
And even if the care is not great, it's better than most people get. And guess what?
Yep.
Some care at zero economic cost is better than like substandard care at great cost.
Well, and so many people choose to forego insurance anyway, or they have it, but then they're like, "Oh, I can't even afford to use it." So you're basically at no care, even though you're paying a fortune for it.
I can't afford to pay $10,000 in medical expenses before my insurance kicks in.
Yeah. And of course, they nickel and dime you and everything. It's like, oh yeah, I want to go see my primary care. Okay, that'll be $30. Okay, now you got to go get a blood panel. That's $10. Okay, now you need this medication. Also $10. Like, fuck.
Yeah. So she reaches a similar conclusion to us as younger vets.
Mm-hmm.
And the younger, I mean, like post Desert Storm.
Yeah, we're by
global war on terror.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
If most or all of your service took place after 2000, basically.
I mean, 9/11 is a good cutoff too. Boom.
Yeah, 9/11.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. That's what I think. Global war on terror is post 9/11.
That's
right?
True.
Because that's when the war on terror was fucking declared.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she does acknowledge, like we did, that there has been progress by both the Defense Department and the VA, but not enough for me to feel good about influencing young people to join. Certainly.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might have made jokes. I was like, part of the reason why I want to start a church is so that like we can fucking basically have an underground railroad of conscientious objectors. No, seriously, because I do think a draft is coming. I do think that this is only like the jockeying for resources as the age of limits intensifies, because we're barely cresting the fucking peak right now. Like we have like a little ways of where it's slowly declining before it fucking really hits that angle.
Yeah.
And when that shit happens, I have no doubt that there will be fucking bloodshed for fucking resources. Like en masse, so long as like a lot of a population, maybe a combination of factors makes the population collapse much faster. But as we were seeing in the limits to growth, it's pretty much on the same bell curve trajectory, which means like most of the population loss will be like 30 years from now, 40 years from now.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like up until now, post Vietnam, it's pretty much just been us like picking on smaller, weaker countries. And you can do that with a lot of technology and, a few soldiers. But, when it comes to if you're talking about, declaring all out war on a rival country, that can actually like stand up to you. Yeah, we don't have the force for that. Not a chance. We would definitely have to like either really kick up, recruiting with a whole bunch of promises, or turn to the draft. And I don't question that we would, really go for the draft.
Yeah, and she's talking about, at least in the volunteer army sense, like she's like, the best I could do is tell, potential recruits to do their research,
mm-hmm.
and then encourage veterans to be honest about their service.
Yeah.
And I have been honest about my service. Like, it worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work for a lot. Like, I think it was what I needed at a particular time in my life when I needed it.
I chose a silly profession that sounds really cool on paper, but doesn't help with the job. Not a lot of nuclear reactors, like begging to be operated.
Yeah, that's true. And how about this? How about this for a Green New Deal program? You've yourself have said the safest place for a nuclear reactor is on a boat. I think you said that.
Submarine, yeah.
Well, on a submarine, but on a boat broadly, right?
Oh yeah. Because if something starts to go critical, you can literally just pull a Star Trek and dump the core. Bloop. You let the ocean take care of it for you.
Yeah, I mean, and not just that, but like they have access to basically unlimited amounts of cooling water too.
Yeah. The only deal is that you gotta desalinate it, but that's not hard really. You got plenty of power to do it. So all you need is a filter media and just dump it right back where you got it from. Yeah, and you just dump it right back where you got it from. And a lot of them are using reverse osmosis systems now anyway, so more efficient. And then you just dump all the brine back into the ocean where you got it from. Disturb the salinity in the region a bit. You're usually moving anyway when you do it, so you spread it out a lot.
And it's an ocean.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, it's kind of like space. It's fucking huge, especially when you're like a protozoa.
Yeah.
Or
unbelievably huge.
Cyanobacteria or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yep. Plankton.
A plankton. Oh man, that's an avatar that I should have used at some point in my existence online.
Oh, Plankton from
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
the super villain.
Yeah. Still can,
Anyway,
man.
she reaches that conclusion and she says, you know what? Veterans, be honest about your service. And I can say, like, there's a lot of fucked up shit about it.
And there's a couple of good things.
You know what is there's a lot of fucked up shit about everything in the world.
Yeah.
And ultimately,
you know where we learned that? The Good Place.
The Good Place?
The Good Place.
Stop trying to convince me of that shit. Did I bring up The Good Place when I was visiting you recently?
Maybe. It's a show about philosophy, dude. It's great.
She's always trying to fucking
utilitarianism.
Ecstasy likes The Good Place. You gotta like The Good Place too. It's like, I don't like The Good Place. I think it's lame that they're like, oh, we're gonna say like funny words instead of curse words. I'm like,
come on. Fantastic.
Okay, maybe I'll try it. I don't know. People want me to want like Bob's Burgers too, and I'm just like,
I don't care about that one so much. Yeah, but I think The Good Place is actually like a really good show. I just remember like, figuring out, the little twist on my own, and I was like, okay, cool, fun. Saw that coming, but not by much. So we just talked about how veterans shouldn't have to do the country's recruiting for it, and maybe if they treated everyone better, like more people could recommend it. And from there, I guess the only place to go is down, and that's the very soil that we use to feed ourselves.
No, we're saving that for the next one.
What? You don't want to go over it?
You missed that.
We're only 47 minutes in. What do we cover? Do you have another?
Oh no, we're almost at 10.
Huh?
Oh, we started late.
I mean, we can end. It's fine. It's been 47
Oh,
minutes.
no. I just thought that would work better because there was a Paul Beckwith I saw. I think I explained this already.
You did.
And also like the limits to growth stuff. We could tie all that together. Okay. Have a serious conversation about food security.
Well, then we got to call it. Unless you just want to shoot the shit about something.
I mean, I'm totally down. We got a few more minutes.
Shooting the poodoo for real.
Shooting the poodoos.
I don't know. I don't have much. My life isn't all that interesting.
Can we talk about how boomers fuck everything up?
I mean, it goes without saying, but sure we can. What particular thing happened?
Well, I already talked about it with
your
you
boat?
Because I saw you like the other day for your birthday, but like even though your birthday is technically tomorrow, happy early birthday!
Yay! Now everybody knows my birthday. Wonderful.
Yeah, no, I was just fucking complaining about boomers. I talked to my parents earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Like I got the vibe that I'm like, damn, dude, I think I need to tell my sister that I think my mom might be intentionally like my dad. Like there was this weird thing that happened, dude. So I'm gonna kind of use you almost partly as the same way I talk to my therapist. Just bring up weird shit that like I thought about. Be like, what do you think that means? Raise an eyebrow.
What do you think that means, Steve?
At any rate, yeah, like my dad is fucking sick, and he's got this respiratory thing that, like, we were talking. I felt like I've had this thing where, like, every morning I'm clearing shit out of my chest.
Because you are.
Yeah.
Years of smoking.
Well, no. That's not it. Because that wasn't a problem until one of the kids in the classroom sneezed in my fucking face, and I had really bad. And everybody, like a ton of kids in the class, have had this like really bad respiratory thing for a fucking while. And one of those kids fucking hit, and I had like a sinus thing, and I pop pills like fucking crazy trying to stay dry. Because I don't want that shit in my ears, most importantly, because I get the ear infections really easy.
Yep. Every time I get sick, almost.
Yep. I get ear infections super easy, so I try and keep myself dry so it doesn't like have a chance to breed bacteria or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I thought I avoided it too, because I knew it was like I had like a sensation of postnasal drip. Anyway, I think that I thought that I had avoided it, and then like a week or two later, I started to feel like raspy.
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks later, I started to hack shit up. Yeah.
This is why you don't go near children.
Yeah. So anyway, my dad's fucking chest sounds nasty. I was like,
Mm.
well, Dad, like when I was getting off the phone, I was like, well, I hope you feel better. I was like, you need to, because they're kind of doing the vegan thing, but I don't think it's vegan for moral reasons. Like it's vegan for health. And so honey is not included in their definition of vegan.
Yeah.
Right. And so I said, hey, get some drink some, hot tea with honey. And he was like, oh, that's what I keep telling your mom I need. But she keeps trying to give me something else. And he started listing things, and I didn't hear what he was listing because she started speaking over him, being like, oh, that's not true. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, is he like really kind of feeling sick? And like you're trying to fucking homeopathy him when really he just needs to drink some tea with some honey? And I think take an expectorant. Like,
yeah.
I'm as skeptical of fucking big pharma as the next person, but guess what? Some of those drugs are very effective what they do. You got
and they've been around for decades.
And they don't make massive profits for pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
Right? Like
they use other drugs for their massive profits. I mean, and even like cough medicine and expectorant stuff is not cheap. Given like how much the ingredients probably cost.
Expectorant, like Mucinex or something like that.
Yeah,
like $9 or $10, and like one fucking box of that shit lasts us like fucking 3 or 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So they're collecting a couple dollars a year, essentially.
Yeah.
From us for what though? Like,
and somehow they can still afford huge commercials featuring that weird like mucus guy.
The one that's definitely either racist and or prejudiced.
Ooh, I hadn't thought about that. I haven't seen the commercials very often. I just remember them.
Oh yeah, the germs in there are like it's prejudice. It's like they're working class.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Working class New Yorkers, presumably like Italian or Irish or whatever. I think Italian is what they're going for.
Mm.
Or maybe Eastern European, right? Like,
yeah.
Hadn't
thought about it.
Yeah, they basically make them sound like poor working class, like ethnic New Yorkers. Yeah, it's really fucking terrible.
Damn.
But there's a lot of shit that didn't age well.
Oh,
have you seen Ace Ventura lately?
Yes, I have. No, it didn't age well, and there's a lot of people that would watch it and be like, "What the fuck am I watching? This was funny." And you're like, "Yeah, it's not actually a woman," and they all find that disgusting. What's not to laugh about? Part 2 did a better job, though.
Part 2 is the best. I just like the beginning when he's doing the fucking cliffhanger kind of
with the raccoon.
Theme with the raccoon.
Yeah.
He drops the raccoon and then
doesn't hold
his monastery.
Doesn't hold up as well today. Yeah, when people are like, I don't know what cliffhanger is.
Oh, it doesn't hold up well because no one remembers cliffhanger.
Yeah. Like, tell me the plot of cliffhanger. I can't do it.
I never watched it.
I think I saw it once.
Didn't it have Sylvester Stallone?
Mm-hmm.
Never saw it.
Yeah. I don't know why he had to go out and rescue people. I don't even remember like the setup for the movie. It was that unimportant. Now Ace Ventura, he's got to find that dolphin. In the first one.
In the second one, he's trying to find the bat.
Chicago.
Yeah, the sacred bat.
Oh my God. How did we get here?
Bumblebee tuna.
Let's see. So sick dad sucks. My mom is in decent health. She's constantly adjusting her diet, trying to figure out something that will work for all of the various little problems that she has, and seems to be doing all right. She gave up drinking, though, and that hurts me on a very visceral level. Because, damn it, I want to get drunk with my mom. Like, who doesn't?
Agreed. That would be cool.
I told her that, and she's like, it's okay. I could still be a designated driver. I'm like, does Sam still drink?
No.
Let's go. Let's get some beers. Oh, I don't like those fancy craft beers. God damn it, Sam.
Everybody got old, bro.
They did.
They went and did their own things. They went and had a bunch of babies. They kept just being fucking weird. Where's your weird lesbian sister? Don't you have a weird lesbian sister?
She's with a guy now. I mean, I think she was. Yeah, I mean, I think she.
It was a phase.
Yeah, or it was something. Yeah, she's still attracted to women or whatever, but she's just like, I'm with a guy now, and I'm like, okay, say no more.
Fair enough. That's cool.
Yeah,
so she's still just doing like working and fucking being herself.
Yeah.
Like no settled down or family or nothing.
No, I think she did settle down actually. Oh. I can't remember exactly where. But I also can't say so online. So.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't ask you to. I'm sorry.
No, it's no worries. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, she found some guy. I forget. I think she just found him online, and then moved up to be with him. And I'm like, yeah, that's you. That's what she does. She basically like finds something, moves there, and then gets tired of it and moves somewhere else after finding something new in a different place. And I'm like, that's pretty cool, And if you can settle down now and get all the benefits of like, owning a house from just finding someone, cool. Keep it up for as long as you can. I think there's like kids and stuff like that. So I mean, I don't know if she. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she wanted kids or anything like that, but she's got them.
Yeah, but I mean, you get to a certain age, they're just fucking part of the package, man.
Yeah.
For most people.
Yeah, that's true.
It then it becomes like the kind of 6'5" makes 6 figures, athletic build kind of fantasy that often comes up as an example of women's expectations. Not that guys aren't. There's Anyway.
Yeah, we've got ours that are like 4'10", double D's, 3-inch waist or whatever.
Nope, it's not I. At any rate, the time is 10:04. That's a good time. That's my birthday.
Ooh, there you go. Now everyone knows yours too.
Yeah, people should know mine.
Yeah,
you should know me because you should send me super chats on my birthday.
Oh, that's a good call, guys.
And help me get to super chats by fucking getting all your friends to subscribe and to like our episodes.
Yes, and watch our shorts that we're definitely making. Right, as soon as
you guys are not that interesting, and I'd be like, you're probably right, but we're not motivated to get any better because no one's watching.
What?
And I think, honestly, we're doing a pretty goddamn good job in terms of quality, despite the fact that no one watches.
It looks real nice.
I'm proud of us. I think some of our production can be pretty good.
Yeah.
I think we've had very good discussions. What I think is that once we sit down and do this, neither of us, with recording this twice a week, neither of us has any desire to pop in between and fucking churn out shorts.
Yeah.
None of us is like, neither of us have the lifestyle because we both have fucking families. Like, I'm not like, you know what I'm going to do? Oh, I'm bored. I'll probably just throw a corn dog in the microwave and then brew another pot of coffee or whatever and fucking smash out some fucking YouTube shorts. No, we don't think about this until like in 2 days. Like, if we're lucky, tomorrow morning, I'll fucking be like, oh yeah, we talked about this, having a discussion about this, and I'll start finding stuff to put in the tracker for the next episode. That's the best I can do.
I got so annoyed about the fact that you like can't make a short on the computer. It has to be on the phone. I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Like, that's crazy. And I guess the whole expectation is that you're gonna take your phone and record yourself making a short, rather than like editing shorts from your show. I'm just like, I mean, cool. I guess we could do that. We could each pop on if we had a weird idea. Just make a short out of it. Just be like, the fingers are the toes of the hand. Some shit like that.
Yeah. I have no idea. All I know is that I'm not just talking about shorts too, like clipping this up into like, at least when we're talking about articles and shit.
Yeah.
There's some decent discussion sometimes that warrant like being a more digestible chunk.
Yeah.
At any rate, I had a nice discussion. Let's do this again. Maybe Monday. We'll talk about that soil and the Paul Beckwith article and some other shit.
Yeah.
We'll do some climate doomerism or enviro doomerism.
Agro doomerism.
Agro?
I mean, that's where it starts, right? Famine?
Next time on With Thunder's Applause.
Where liberty dies.
Where liberty dies.
Sunday.
Grogu. Without music.
Music is there.
And with its significant delay because he wasn't ready.